brutal cobbles, freezing rain, and crowds demanding blood. Belgian cycling was never just a sport. In 1913, Flanders forged races so savage that only a new breed, men called Flandrians, could survive. Eddy Merckx's 70-kilometer solo attack was just the beginning. But what makes a rider truly born to suffer? And why do the hardest legends always come from here? The answer starts with the monuments that made them. Flanders is not just a place on a map, it's a crucible of suffering shaped by wind, rain, and stone. Here, roads twist through open farmland, battered by crosswinds that can tear a peloton apart in minutes. The cobbled climbs, the infamous bergs, rise out of muddy fields. Their surface is so rough that even walking can be a challenge. The Koppenberg, for example, pitches up to a punishing 20%, its slick stones forcing even the strongest legs to slip and stumble. In spring, freezing rain turns the pave into a minefield, mud caking gears and faces alike. These are not obstacles to be avoided, but tests to be conquered. To the people of Flanders, cycling is woven into daily life, a working-class badge of honor. Early in the 20th century, local newspapers like Sport World didn't just report on cycling, they built it into the soul of the region. They coined the term Flandrian to describe riders who refused to break, no matter how savage the conditions. A true Flandrian is relentless, thriving on hardship, carrying the pride of entire villages over every stone. Crowds line the narrow lanes, waving banners and roaring encouragement, demanding not just victory but proof of character. In this landscape, suffering isn't a side effect, it's the point. The monuments, like the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix, became proving grounds, forging legends from ordinary men. As one historian puts it, these races didn't just make champions, they made Flandrians. Eddy Merckx raced as if the rules of pain didn't apply to him. In April 1969, at the Tour of Flanders, he attacked with 70 kilometers still left to ride. Rain hammered the fields, and a biting wind tore at the riders. Most would have waited, hiding in the pack, but Merckx surged ahead alone, ignoring the shouts from his team car and the disbelief of his rivals. There were no radios, no constant updates, just the sound of his own breath and the rattle of steel on stone. Behind him, the favorites tried to organize a chase, but Merckx's lead only grew. He pressed on, grinding over the cobbled bergs, mud streaking his legs, every muscle burning. The peloton vanished from his mind. Kilometer after kilometer, he rode without a glance back, as if daring the race itself to break him. When he finally crossed the finish line in Meerbeke, he had put 5 minutes and 36 seconds into Felice Gimondi, one of the strongest riders of the era. No Belgian had ever won Flanders by such a margin. That day, Merckx didn't just win, he set a template for what it meant to be truly hard. Attack early, suffer alone, and turn the impossible into routine. His audacity became the standard by which every Belgian hardman would be measured. Roger de Vlaeminck approached the cobbles of Paris-Roubaix with a mechanic's precision and a fighter's nerve. Where others braced for chaos, he studied the pave, learning every dip and crown. De Vlaeminck wasn't built like a heavyweight, but on the stones, he rode with the confidence of a man who knew every secret the road could hide. He won Paris-Roubaix 4 times, a record only matched by Tom Boonen decades later. His rivals called him Monsieur Paris-Roubaix, not just for his victories, but for the way he made the hardest race in cycling look almost controlled. His secret was rhythm. De Vlaeminck kept a high cadence, spinning his legs at 90 or even 100 revolutions per minute. This wasn't just style, it was survival. A fast, smooth pedal stroke let him glide over the cobbles, reducing the bone-rattling shock that sapped the strength from less skilled riders. He picked his lines with care, searching for the narrowest ribbons of smoother stone, sometimes riding the very edges of the road, just millimeters from disaster. He wrapped his handlebars with extra layers of foam, a small detail that spared his hands and arms from the worst of the vibration. While others fought the stones, de Vlaeminck worked with them, reading the terrain like a second language. He could sense when the surface would shift beneath him or when mud would threaten to pull him sideways. In the dust and the mud, his bike handling was almost surgical, never wasting energy, never panicking. For de Vlaeminck, toughness wasn't just about pain. It was about mastery, turning suffering into a skill and making the impossible look inevitable. Johan Museeuw's career carried the weight of Flandrian legend, but in 1998, the cost of that toughness nearly took everything from him. That spring, at Paris-Roubaix, Museeuw crashed hard in the forest of Arenberg, a stretch so brutal it has ended more than one career. His knee shattered on the rough stones. He was rushed to the hospital, but infection set in. For 10 days, doctors fought to save his leg from amputation. The pain was constant, the outcome uncertain. There were moments when even Museeuw doubted he would walk again, let alone race. Yet quitting was never an option. Through months of surgeries and slow, grinding rehab, Museeuw refused to let the story end there. He spoke of the ordeal as a kind of rebirth, a lesson in humility and stubbornness. The scars on his knee became a badge of honor, a reminder that suffering can shape, but not define, a true Flandrian. Just 2 years later, Museeuw returned to the very roads that almost destroyed him. In 2000, he stood on the podium at Paris-Roubaix once more, his face lined with relief and pride. The crowd knew what it meant, not just a race won, but a fight for dignity and survival. Museeuw's comeback was not about medals or records. It was about proving that the hardest men are those who keep riding, no matter how deep the pain runs. Tom Boonen didn't just win races, he turned the Cobbled classics into a stage for power and spectacle. In 2012, Boonen did what no one else had managed in the modern era. He swept E3 Harelbeke, Ghent-Wevelgem, the Tour of Flanders, and Paris-Roubaix in a single spring. Each victory fed a growing frenzy. Headlines splashed his face across billboards and magazine covers. Sponsors clamored for a piece of his legend, transforming a Flandrian's suffering into a brand. Crowds packed the finish lines, not just to see a champion, but to witness a phenomenon. Boonen's style was pure force. He could muscle through the worst pave, launching sprints that left rivals gasping. Cameras caught every grimace, every mud-streaked finish, turning pain into a kind of celebrity currency. In a country where cycling had always belonged to the people, Boonen's era blurred the line between hardman and superstar. His quadruple wasn't just a string of wins, it was proof that the myth of the Flandrian could fill stadiums and sell dreams. Philippe Gilbert lined up at the 2019 Tour of Flanders less than a year after shattering his kneecap on a mountain descent. Doctors doubted he would race again. Yet, as the kilometers ticked down, Gilbert's patience and timing outlasted younger legs. He waited, sheltered from the wind, letting rivals attack themselves into exhaustion. On the final climbs, he picked his moment, launching a late surge that left even the pure cobble specialists chasing in vain. The win was not just physical. Every move was calculated, every risk measured. Wout van Aert brings a different kind of edge to the classics. Raised on cyclocross, he reads slick pave like a second language. Where others bounce and slip, Van Aert carves the gutter, bunny hops over ruts, and threads through chaos with the balance of a mountain biker. His line choices on the Koppenberg and Paterberg save precious seconds and spare his legs for the finale. Modern teams back this skill with technology. Mechanics now fit 28mm tubeless tires, running pressures as low as 50 to 70 pounds per square inch, almost half what was standard a decade ago. Lower pressures grip the stones, letting riders float over the roughest sectors. Wireless sensors track every fluctuation, so a mechanic can tweak setup mid-race. On today's cobbles, toughness is still mandatory, but the smartest riders use every tool at their disposal. The Belgian hardman has become a hybrid, part tactician, part technician, and always willing to suffer for the win. Today, Belgian riders still line up against wind, rain, and cobbles because the world's hardest races demand it. As professional cycling grows ever more global and technical, the Flandrian spirit remains the ultimate measure of grit. Suffering isn't history here, it's the standard. What would you endure for greatness?